So
Okay, hopefully there's no echo because we're using desktop audio and source audio from David. And if you guys wonder, I've got a shotgun mic here and I've got this spaghetti of wires here. And what's happening is I'm using a shotgun mic and the audio from my computer going into my cell phone, going live on my Instagram channel. Hello, Instagram. And then I've got the typical mic that I always use going into the camera for YouTube. And I'm using a Zoom H1, so yeah, it's kind of complicated and kind of overwhelming. But I want to see if this works so that people on Instagram can hear both of us speak. But if you're on Instagram watching, definitely head to my bio and hit the link to go to YouTube because it's going to sound and look so much better than this crappy camera next week. Okay.
They're all saying that's much better. Yeah, so really all I've been doing, I just made a video about why I decided to get the new iPhone, Aaron, the other day. I was thinking about it the other day, and I discussed that in my last live show. And then, look, I looked at the cameras and thought about it and I ended up buying one. So I get it to Friday morning.
Oh, my gosh, you're crazy.
Here, so we get it before you guys, which is good because we're in the future.
Yeah, you're always in the future. How cool is that? So if you guys if you guys have any like baseball games you want to win, just call Dave and say, "Hey, who wins?" Because he's in the future. So now, which one did you end up getting? Because it's kind of confusing if you haven't been reading or keeping up with it. Which one did you get?
I got the iPhone Max, so the big one, and I got the most memory, which was 512 gigabytes.
Oh,
so I got that one. So it was the highest spec one, that I could get. I thought, because I may shoot so much video with this, I thought I'd get the largest memory that I could get. Yeah, because if you look at what that that camera app does.
Filmic Pro.
Yes, Filmic Pro does, where you can use the 4 cameras at the same time, basically, and choose between them. This may be my new system for doing my behind the scenes and all this sort of stuff that I'll be doing for YouTube. So I wanted to make sure that I got enough memory that I wouldn't have to worry about it filling up and things like that, because you can shoot 4K 60, and if you do that for any decent period of time, you may fill it up. So I thought I'd get the most memory I could get in it. So yeah, I'm excited to get it. I got the green one, that midnight green or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so pretty excited about it.
The super cool thing about that is with Filmic Pro, apparently, I did actually a video on Filmic Pro. I'm trying to look for it. It was like a long time ago when it first came out. It's got like 60,000 views. It was for the longest time one of my most watched videos. I did that 7 years ago. So I did a Filmic Pro right when it came out 7 years ago, and they put that on their webpage, so it got a bunch of views. And that is really an amazing app. I still use it today. And the camera, that app with that new camera, being able to, I think, film yourself and film forward is absolutely amazing as a vlogging for travel vloggers, because you could be in a little box talking to your people as they're seeing what you're seeing at the same time, instead of just like, oh, here we're in front of the cathedral, and then you have to flip it around and show. You just go, there's the cathedral, and just never, it's just going to be amazing. So
well, the funny thing was too, I was watching the news this morning. We have the local morning shows like you do in the US, and they had a review on it where a guy did a review, and he didn't tell anyone, but he did the whole broadcast that he was doing, like this review, using the iPhone to do it all. And at the end, he said to the hosts, this was actually all filmed with the iPhone 11, and they all went, they couldn't believe it. They just thought, wow, that's incredible, because he did everything in it, the interviewing, and the selfie camera, I think, is the big difference this time, in the fact that it's now the 12 megapixel camera, but also you can do 4K 60 slow motion from the front.
Oh, that's great.
So before it was always lacked in quality, whereas now you've got the quality from the front as well, which is really good for what we do, Aaron, really.
Well, that's like the thing that I never really liked filming with. Well, it's an iPhone 5S, so I'm like way behind, but the front camera was always not that great. And before this camera, like a week before this camera was released, I told my friend, we don't get flippy screens on SLRs, and we don't get good forward-facing screens on our phones, where the majority of everybody uses the screen on their phone with the front camera to do selfies all the time. Why don't they just put a good, camera in the front? It was just so amazed that they never did that, and now they finally did. So at least it's better than it used to be. So that's a plus. So now you have a...
Are you going to upgrade?
Probably not. I still got my iPhone 5S. The time I'll upgrade is probably when that phone stops working. One thing I like about it is when I do my photo shoots, it just fits in my pocket so easy.
Yeah.
When I had the iPhone 6, whatever it was I had for a while, I gave it to my wife. I always had to have a bag or stick it in my pocket. And it was just very uncomfortable for my photo shoots. So that's why I actually like that camera. I'll still use the Osmo for most of my B-roll and all that stuff, but that new iPhone looks really, really cool. And I guess in 2020 they're supposed to come out with a whole new design finally that doesn't look nothing like the old one. So we'll see then what happens. Maybe my phone will still last another year, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, good. I noticed I watched your video too with showing the tripod that you did, which looks great.
It's amazing.
I saw that. Yeah, I watched that video yesterday. It looked lovely. The shots were lovely that you got.
Oh,
I noticed too that you were using what I do now, which is often using bare flash without any modifiers, which is, well, I mean, we're going to talk about modifiers today, but I noticed you just use bare flash, and I really like that look.
Yeah, it's like, well, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
I don't have any coffee, guys. I just got here like an hour before the show and to turn all this on and everything and set up and comb my awesome hair and get connected with David and all that. Didn't have time to get my coffee, so we're just going to jump into this. Are you ready for the first?
Yes, let me put in here. I forgot I had to put the microphone up there, actually. So let me go show start. We're at 12:27.
I'm going to share my desktop right now.
We'll be sharing on Petapixel. There's a actual page that shows. So there's 17 modifiers on Petapixel that they're showing what to use. And why we like this modifiers was due to the fact that you could actually see the modifier and the fall off that was there that the modifier gave you, and that's what's really interesting about that. And I thought that I'd share you my ones that I use that I love.
I hope
so this is the first one that I thought that I'd show you. Let me know too if the audio is okay, guys. But this is a Magnum. Now, the thing about this is what's incredible about these lighting things is that it's actually this mottly sort of color through here gives you an extra 2 stops of light, which is just amazing. I mean, it actually does increase my flash from a 250 watt strobe. I think it becomes almost 1,000 watt strobe, and I've measured it with my light meter, and it actually does, and it's really pretty incredible. So what are they saying? I watch a lot of sci-fi, so the robot voice is kind of cool. So it's a robot voice again.
Yeah, that's a Skype thing. I can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, it must be Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is my audio okay, guys? Just let me know. So this is what they call a Magnum reflector, and this is designed to really give that light real punch. And what's my for me? At first, David, we couldn't hear you, and then later on we could. Then you were sharing the screen, so the audio worked. So the audio did work towards the end, Aaron. So it looks like it's been fixed.
Okay.
On that screen sharing. So this I use this now nearly all the time because this gives you a real high fashion look. If ever you look at the high fashion photographers, they do like a real punchy, crispy type look. And this is what I love. But the only thing you've got to do when you're doing this is you have to make sure that you point the model's face or whatever towards the light, because this will give a really punchy light, and if they do turn their face away, you will get a shadow that sort of appears on the side of the nose. So you've got to be very, very careful about using this and how you shape the body. But this will light up the whole body. This spreads so much that it will light up a whole body fairly close. But the power that this gives me is like some voodoo science that I just can't understand how it works, but it's amazing. So that's my favorite one, and that's tiny. I love that. But if I need to spread the light much more, I use what they call, this is the wide zoom reflector. This one I use when I'm doing white backgrounds. Like if I'm doing in the studio and I want to make the white background, I use these because this will spread the light over such a wide area. Now, you can also use this to just light up a subject as well. It will give you a real sort of punchy light. Not as punchy as the Magnum, but it does give you a real punchy light. And the beauty of the ProPhoto stuff, though, is you can zoom these. So the more that you zoom them in and out of the light, it focuses more the light that comes out. That's one of the great things about the Pro Photo system is how they do zoom, so it changes the light fall off. So that's another light that I use. This spreads the light like crazy. So if you need really wide light, I use this.
Nice.
Another one I love using is this one. So this is a small octa. Now this is one of my favorite ones that I use when I'm on location due to the size. In the studio, I use a 5-foot one of these. So I use a massive one of these in the studio. But this is a 2-foot one. And again, I've got a grid on this because I like to control fall off, and it stops the light from going anywhere where I don't want it to go. And it looks, you know, I just love it. And this is one of my favorite modifiers as well.
Nice.
Another one that I use too is this one, but I mostly use this one in the studio. So this one is a 2x2, or this is the square box. And I like this as well. Like I said, I travel with the octa because it's so much smaller, and I like the shape that the octa gives me. But this is another light that I use in the studio often, and I often use this to light up underneath the chin or doing clamshell lighting and things like that. So I'll use this one. This is another one that I use quite often as well. This one here.
Yeah, tell me about that. I'm always interested in those.
Well, because this lights up your whole body. So instead of the other ones which only light up a small part of your body, this lights up the whole body. So I've got a few of these that I can light up, and you can put a grid on these as well. I'm just looking at Skype, and it looks like it's really slow. Is it still okay for you, Aaron?
Yeah, it looks good for me.
Yeah, it's really slow on my end. But this one is the 1-foot by 4-foot RF light. These are great because, like I said, you can put these on the side and you can light up a whole body. So I do use these quite often when I'm doing full body shots. And I used to use these a lot when I do things like the pregnancy shots because you can put it behind the subject and you can get that nice rim around the mother's body where the belly sort of comes out, and you can get nice shadows and things like that as well. So that's another light that I thing that I love using. Another one is, where'd I put that? I had an umbrella here somewhere. I wanted to show an umbrella because I haven't got it, but I thought I grabbed it. I don't know where it's gone. I wanted to show an umbrella because I use them a lot too for on location stuff. And I think a lot of people don't use umbrellas. Well, I think they should use it more actually because it gives you a lovely soft light, easy to carry, take wherever you want to go, and it takes up no room at all. And they're just a shoot-through umbrella that I use, and I love those. And don't forget too that you've also got the reflector. I'll just open this one up so you can see this one. These are also fantastic for working on location and stuff like that. So this has two sides, which one side is silver and the other side is your white, just your normal white reflector. These are so handy to have, and I usually take these on all shoots that I do. It's also pretty handy too because this is quite big, but we use this as well to stop the sun from getting onto the subject. And that's one great thing as well. So you can take that harsh light away, and then you can shoot without that harsh glare that you get, during midday or early afternoon or whatever. So they're few of the reflectors that I love to use. I don't take them all for every shoot. I nearly always take that Magnum reflector that I showed you, that first one, and I nearly often take the octa, that small octa, with me as well, and nearly always take an umbrella just in case, and the reflector, this thing I always take as well. So that will normally always go with me as well, just in case if I do need to shade the subject or add a little bit of fill underneath the chin, or just use it as a light reflector. Like often it's great, but the problem is sometimes those reflectors, they can be very harsh in the light because you're reflecting it right back, and it almost blinds your subject, and that can be an issue. But
you got to use those carefully.
I nearly really use it mostly to shade off the subject and keep that harsh sun off the subject. Have you got one there too, Aaron?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do with those most of the time, is because they have that translucent properties to them without putting a thing on there. I'll just have the sun, if it's harsh sunlight, just use that to soften the light. I hardly ever use it as a bounce as well. As far as what I use, If I'm running and gunning, I'll use, this is kind of something David wanted to show you guys, but he has even one that folds up smaller. But this little thing right here, I don't know what size that is, but you'd be surprised, you know, how much soft light you can get. And this isn't the photo I was going to show, but if I just show you this shot right here, you can see that this is all I use to light these people up. Right there, I just had this little umbrella like right off the camera left here, and it just softened up this whole area, and actually turned out pretty good with just using something small like that. And so that's like a run and gun thing, which works great most of the time. Then if I want to do, if I want to just get softer light or whatever, then I use one of these bigger umbrellas. Now this one here, let's see, you can get the size. This one's quite large. Now you can use this as a bounce or take the outer shell off and use it as a shoot through. And I use these a lot. Not outside. Usually it's just that small one, or when I'm doing photo shoots inside, I use this. And then the other thing I'll use a lot outside is just a flash disc. And in order to use this, of course, the closer the light source gets, but if this was the shot, I would have this on a stand right outside a frame just to get it as close as possible. And then I'll tilt it a little bit. I don't know, I'm all backwards here, but I'll tilt it like this, so you're basically shooting the light back there, but you're just getting the edge. It's called feathering the light. So this is a really good featherer where it feathers the light so it's not so harsh, and it's actually quite soft by feathering it like that. And usually I'm a one light shooter in outside situations where it's just like smaller photo shoots like that. But you can use two if you speed light here, speed light there to soften the shadows that this one might create type of thing. But like David was talking about recently, I've just been using the bare flash. You can feather the light with the bare flash too. You can put this little diffuser thing down like that. You can also just tilt it away to where just the edge, the softest edge of that's kind of hitting your subject, or just go straight on and know how to use it. And this is probably the thing that I've been using just most lately, bouncing it off of white objects or walls or outside. I mean, it's just, I'm a minimalist, as you guys all know, and learning how to use just bare flash is amazing. Now, if you are willing to put up two, which I'm not usually in just run and gun situation, you could have one over here, then another one filling in the shadows that this one might create. So, but I'm all about that. And the photos that I'm going to share later is I use this. So that's basically, and then I've got a huge, I think it's like a 42-inch Octabox. Now that one I use for more professional stuff when, like for the magazines back here, they're almost always used for those situations where you just want really soft light and wide light. I mean, then you're talking about big things, but then it's a bigger production and more setup time and all that stuff. Well, not necessarily time, but it's a bigger setup. So I'll use that, and I have a grid on that too if I don't want to spill it on the background. So that's basically what I use, but most of the time it's just one of these.
The thing I'm starting to sort of change, and I always go through things where I change to what I use. I used to love, I used to love very soft sort of lighting and stuff, and now I've gone the complete opposite, where I've now gone to more hard lighting that's punchy, crispy, and I'm really enjoying using it. And it's given me, I suppose, a little difference now when I look at my work and people comment on it, they go, well, love it, love it, love it. And it's because I'm using these lights that are really punchy now without the modifiers on them to give it that real depth, because I'm starting to find that you get much more sort of punch, depth. The shadows, yes, maybe a little bit harsher, but I quite like that. But it is a real fashion look that if you look at most fashion photographers, they do go for that real punchy, high-key type look, which is often these bare bulbs with these reflectors like what I showed you before. Yeah, but really interesting.
And sometimes they'll actually use like on-camera. I don't like the on-camera flash look, but a lot of fashion photographers use bare flash on camera because I see a lot. I don't like that, but when you do use bare light, it just looks more vibrant, more sharp. It just has that look to it. And I have some photos to show you how I did that on these, but we'll talk about that when we show our photo. But yeah, now the main reason why I started using soft light is early when I was learning photography, it's like, at least what I learned and the direction that I was taking was harsh light is your enemy and you need to soften that light up, and then they're trying to sell you all these modifiers to do such a thing. So I kind of was just, attuned to, I got to get the light soft, so it became something I did, and something I just did, I think, because people said you got to do that type of thing. But then as you start moving around and getting more minimalist, and then you use hard light, like, I actually kind of like that. So now I, like you, David, I go through stages, and I find that not only is it easier to bring such a small little device, I like the look. So, yep.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I adore that look now that I'm getting that punchy look. And Kerry loves it now because we used to take all this gear, and now sometimes I'm just taking that one, you know, that Magnum reflector, which is just tiny, and that's all we'll take, and the results are just beautiful. You just have to be mindful of how you pose the model, though, or your subject. You know, that, like I said, you have to make sure that they're pointing in the right way, things like that, you know, and you can overpower the sun using this gear as well, which is fantastic too, if you're trying to get that look.
That's another thing. You're not losing like 2 stops or so, depending on the modifier. You're getting all the flash that you need out of it. That's a good point too.
Yep.
Very good.
So let us know what you think. We'd love to know in the comments what modifiers you guys love to use. So leave that in the comments. We'll go back and check the chat a little bit later. But yeah, but let us know there what you like to use. I mean, are you now still using all the soft light with modifiers, or are you trying to go for, you know, this more harsh sort of punchy type look, which I think, like I said, particularly leads itself, this hard punchy type look particularly leads itself for fashion clothes, jewelry, anything like that, where you want really to show the detail in the outfits. And Aaron, was going to say something about that.
Yeah, that's another thing that you always good at coming up with all these things that I forget. When you use harsh light on diamonds or what's it called, sequins or whatever, like little glassy type things, you get that that specular highlight on everything much more than a soft light. You can still get it, but the hard light, it just really makes those things shine. But you got to be careful that you don't blow out the diamond, you don't even see the detail. So that's another thing. The jewelry actually sparkles more, and a lot of times when I do the jewelry photography, sometimes I'll use, it depends, but a lot of times I'll use, I'm holding up a flash, LED light panel like this with no modifier, because of all the little point lights of the LED actually makes the jewelry sparkle. So that's a good thing to say there.
I mean, I do also have a massive umbrella. I'll go and get it because I'll show you.
Yeah, go get it. While you're going to get that, I'm going to tell you guys, hopefully you guys can hear me. We're going to go to the desktop here.
You should be able to hear me as I'm walking anyway, because I've got the microphone on.
Oh, you got the wireless thing. I'm going to tell them about our Facebook page. Hopefully you guys, maybe he can't hear me. He might. Can you hear me, David?
So this is my umbrella. I do use this sometimes, particularly if I'm doing a high fashion shoot, because this is punchy as well. But if I open this up...
Oh yeah, I remember you showing us this huge.
Look at this is massive. So this one's a beauty. I love this. This is great. Again, you just have to angle the light into this, and then it will bounce back out, but it spreads the light over everything. So this is also a great modifier as well. That's a, I'm not sure how big it is. It's just the ProPhoto XL. But
it's like a 60.
It's great. Love it.
He can't hear me. He doesn't got his headphones on. That looks like maybe a 60-inch or something, because my 42 is pretty large, and that's larger than the 42. So that's pretty nice. And now the silver, can you change the silver, or it's just silver?
No, you have to buy them as separate ones, Aaron, so you can buy them as white or silver. I like the punch and the harsh lights, so that's why I got the silver, because it really throws light out. Like if you want to spread light over everything, you get real hard, beautiful fashion edge. Like if a girl's wearing a sequiny type dress or something like that, and you put that on, it is stunning, because everything just flickers, you know? Yeah, it's beautiful.
Very cool. Now, before we go on, let me just talk about our Facebook group. It's called, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm going to go to desktop. We're going to give this a shot. Keep your eye on the chat, David, see if they can hear me. So if you want to check out our photography and videography school Facebook group, it's the best group to go to, because we don't let bullies come in here. If you're new or advanced, you can come over here, leave questions and comments, post your photos, videos, and all that stuff, and everybody respects everybody. If not, they just basically get booted out, because we want a place, a comfortable and nice environment to come to and enjoy people's work, to share your own, and it's really cool. So photo and videography school. Now when you type this out, make sure you put this, I always forget that, David, Ascend or Apicend, yeah. Make sure you put that in there. when you spell it out. And you can see here David posted some stuff, and Gerald posts cool articles. And it's not just photos. It's we post news stuff and articles, everything that is interesting to photographers. Here's Gilbert's photography, amazing. So yeah, go check that out and follow it. Okay, David. So what's the next thing we're doing here?
All right. So we're going to talk about that ATEM Mini. I've put this on pre-order. I looked at it the other day. Now, I use a different system, which I'll show you in a minute when we go back to the screen. But this thing is amazing for the price that they're offering it. I really can't believe they're doing it for the price that they've got it, which is, look, it's 400. I think it was 400 Australian, so it's probably 250 US or something. I don't know. But you can switch 4 cameras.
Can they hear you, David? I lost the chat.
Not sure. No one's saying they can't hear me.
Okay.
So let me know, guys, if you can hear me, just to make sure it is okay. So you can do all your cuts. Yeah, they can. Yep. So you can do all your cuts and everything, transitions. You can do picture-in-picture, all from this device. This actually will it replicates a webcam, and also you can record to an external monitor like a Ninja V or something like that as well.
Just like this.
It's really, really good. It seems to be like they say it's broadcast quality. You can go networking into this as well. You can put 2 microphones into this, as well as 4 cameras as well. And I think this is incredible for the price that they're asking. And it's something, like I said, I've put it on pre-order, and I believe, well, they said November delivery, so it's going to be a while before it's actually released. But what do you think about this, Aaron? Are you interested in this, or?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool because as we just talked about in the beginning of the show, I'm sitting here. I basically kind of made that out of a spaghetti full of wires and a Zoom H1 and an HDMI link, or what HD cam link, whatever it's called. I had that thing forever, and so that's basically kind of what I'm doing here. But it's a mess, as you can see. You get an echo, and you're getting all this stuff. So something like this, so small that you don't need the HD cam link separate thing anymore. It just goes all into that box. Both of these microphones can be right into that box. I mean, it would just be like so seamless. And then if I want to, I think what I get, if I push like a button on that little console, other one, it can go back to here. So that means I wouldn't have to grab this mouse and follow my mouse over to OBS. It would just completely do our show with just a monitor over here. And over here, I can just worry about my mouse on, showing pictures and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's like really cool. I mean,
I use a switcher.
Show yours.
Thing.
Let me go.
Yeah, I'm using that. I can't pull it up anymore, but I use that when I'm using Wirecast, and the cameras light up, and I can just switch to what I'm on. But it's certainly this is only a switcher for going through Wirecast. Like, the cameras aren't directly into this. It's Wirecast organises which things are on this. But the other one, that Blackmagic switcher, is way more advanced than what I can do with that, because I can control the audio. I can do all the cuts, picture-in-picture, all that sort of stuff from that. Whereas I can do that in Wirecast, but I have to sort of manually press things, and I can switch from this switcher that I've got, but that's about all I can do is switch on it. Whereas this other one is like a broadcast quality switcher, and it'll have the iPad control panel in there. You can do it on the Mac as well and switch things and control your audio, and it's really quite powerful in the audio department. So for setting up like a run and gun, or even a YouTube studio, it'll be fantastic. It's got green screen built in. It looks fantastic, Aaron.
It's got, did you just say green screen? Then it also has, what do you call lower thirds? Yes. Yeah, lower third graphics. So you can, at any time, let's go back to, let's scroll through here if there's anything else we missed. You could just see how amazing this is. Now, this is the 6-band EQ, so you can just really...
So it has compressor and also a limiter built into that as well.
Yep.
Which at the moment we can't control our audio easily at all with the system we're doing. So this will get around that, because your audio could be controlled through this system. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So that means I wouldn't need that HDMI. Everything would go in there. That's just the coolest thing. And then control our audio. Like right now, I'm having issues. I've got desktop audio going on. I've got 2 microphones separate going on. I've got all these sliders and OBS going on, and that's why you guys are hearing echoes. So just to have it all on there and go, ooh, there's David's channel 1, up or down, and I'm channel 2. It's just, it's a game changer for something like that.
Well, the great thing is that, see, at the moment I have different cameras and everything, and it's all switched like through your computer, so everything's all over the place, like Aaron said. The beauty of this system is everything goes into that one switcher. And then it just comes out and like whatever you use, whatever software you use, OBS or Wirecast, will just think it's one camera coming in.
Yeah.
All the switching is done from the switcher. So everything goes into your switcher. It takes that all away from your computer. So the computer's doing nothing really.
Yep.
All the switching and everything is being done in that one little panel with 4 cameras that can go into that and 2 microphones that can go in as well, that have compressor, limiter, everything all built in. So, yeah, I think it is a game changer for the price. I've been looking at one for a while, and they were around about $1,000 odd.
Yeah, they're expensive.
That was $1,000 US, I think. And now to get this around that, I think it was 250 or 300
Yep.
US. But
250.
for that price, I mean, I'm hoping it's as good as it seems to be. I mean, I haven't used it yet, but I've pre-ordered it. So
yeah, it's
stay
really,
tuned.
really cool. So, yeah, that's exciting. I just saw someone post that in our, that's another thing, go over to our Facebook group because someone posted that. That's how I actually kind of learned about that. So really cool stuff, David.
So what are we up? 40,
story.
47, 40, 50.
Yeah, Langston
This is interesting.
Langston was saying, and there's an app so it lets you control a lot more. That's the thing too.
Yes.
They're going to update the app all the time and probably add new features. And I mean, then that would be even cool to have the iPad Pro sitting over here with even more advanced features for setting up everything, and then just go back to the small unit just to do the one tap things. I mean, that's pretty cool. Okay, so
And it's more too that you don't want to be plugging all of these things into different things. I mean, I've got
Like now.
one point. Yeah, I mean, I can plug only so much into my computer, and then you have USB hubs or whatever, or
That's
hubs that
crazy.
you connect stuff into, and it's stuff everywhere. Whereas this is going to simplify everything. Everything will just go into that one panel, and then I'll work from there. And it's yeah.
And if I don't know if any gamers are watching this, but if you like to stream games, this
Yes.
is huge for gamers because your computer's not taking over because your computer's not using its processor to process like everything we're processing now, and the box is doing it itself. That means a gamer can play on their PC at 60 frames, 4K or 1080, 60p frames per second, or whatever the gamers are doing, maybe 1080 most of the time. But 60p is really important for gaming, and now they can do that because a lot of times when they would stream that at the same time they're playing, they get dropped frames, and that's not good for gaming or streaming games. Now with that little thing, if you're a gamer, it's pretty inexpensive to have that little thing taking all the horsepower or everything away from your computer to stream and just have your computer playing the game. So thought I would add that.
Yeah.
Next story.
All right, so 42, 30, 40, I'll make it. Well, the next one is just interesting because it's Canon, may be doing something reasonably good for a change. They've developed, or what we believe is a new IBIS system. Now, from what I've read and looked at this, they're using magnets. It's a different system to what, say, Sony or anyone else is using. So this could be a real improvement for the first time in full-frame IBIS. Because at the moment, we all know that IBIS really only works for stills. It doesn't work really for video. If you're dealing with any of these cameras, they're not fantastic. It certainly helps with video, though. I mean, with stills. I mean, you can shoot down, and I've often shot, like sort of almost 1 second, and I have been able to get usable images out of hand holding if you get good at it. But video, it's just not that good. But this system may change that because it's a totally different system that's been built from the ground up, unlike everything else the way it works. This uses magnets to get the sensor stabilization working. So can't wait to see what they do out of this. It might be the first time that perhaps the next Canon that comes out, this 80 megapixel one, that has this IBIS on it, may be the first full-frame sensor that has decent IBIS that you can actually use for video, Aaron.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. If they, when that 1DX Mark, what is it, 3 comes out, if they have that in there and they don't cut corners like they have been, they could literally make a huge impact because that right there would be really, really amazing. I think even now today, Panasonic, maybe Olympus as well, still have some of the best image stabilization. Isn't that kind of what people still say today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how the full frame. I'd love to see how their full frame system works in stabilization. But I know, look, the others, it's easier because the smaller the sensor,
that's what I was
obviously,
referring to.
the easier it is, to get the stabilization really good. I mean, the GH5 and the Olympus are just incredible. I mean, you can literally handhold them, and it's like it's on a tripod. It's that good.
Yeah, I had that in the G9.
Yeah, I don't know how good it is on the full frame sensor, but this may be the first time where it actually is usable because it's built from the ground up. So it's exciting anyway. Let's hope it does work.
Hey, they're innovating.
They seem to be building something. Yep, they are, Aaron.
That's really, really cool. Okay, so next story.
Now, this was really interesting because this story was just talking about should you give all of your raw files, the unedited files. In other words, what some clients are asking for is that you give them every image that you shoot. And there's no way known I'm ever going to do this, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the whole story is talking about that, about what you should give your clients. And there's a client sort of response and a photographer, how they respond to that. But they're saying clients should not be getting unedited raw images. And the reason why is due to the fact that they are unedited and raw, and there's no way on earth that I'll ever let a client see an unedited photo that I do. If you scroll down a little bit, Aaron, you can see a girl there. I think she's doing exercising. It will show you the difference between the raw file and then the edited one. You want your clients to see the edited one. You don't want your clients to see the unedited one. And I think if you go further down again, there's some more examples as well. It also shows that the reason why you wouldn't give every single image is because you take lots and lots of them.
Yeah, look at that.
And they're basically all the same, and you really should just be cropping most of those out and just giving them one or two of that whole selection. And again, I think they're also looking down where they've taken multiple shots. I do this all the time. I'll always take multiple shots of those sort of things due to the fact that someone is always closing their eyes in group shots or not looking correctly, so I always take multiple shots of those. But I don't want to be giving them those images that don't look any good. So what I do in this situation is I'll say to I put it in my contract that I stipulate that they won't get unedited images, they only get images that I'm happy with. And it says that the images will be selected by OSLA Images and only approved and supplied the OSLA Images. I can't remember the exact wording, but it basically says in there that there's no limit set, so I don't put a limit on it. I say there's no number, and I do in the interview when I have them, I'll say, look, usually it's between 800 and say 1,200 images is what you'll get on the day. Now, I don't take many more than that because I tend to be pretty slow and methodical in my shooting. So I'll probably take an average of 1,400, 1,500 max for a whole wedding. And then I'll nut that down to probably around 800, 900 because I'm very fussy on what I take. I don't shoot and burn, like I'm really slow. When I say slow, I'll take one shot, set it up, and then bang, and then move on.
Yeah.
And often the wedding clients are amazed that they say, wow, we're moving already. I just need to see that shot's right and I'll move on. I'm not going to take 10 shots or 20 shots of the same image. So I do say in my contract that they are only going to get the JPEG files. There's no limit to the number that they will get. And it basically says it leaves it up to my artistic interpretation. And as long as I've met what I believe is correct, that's where that would finish. And it says also that they won't get the raw files in that as well. They'll only get the edited files. But what I do is you've got to be careful too, and I know some photographers make this mistake, that all your numbers in your your camera are numbered. I always, when I've edited the files and everything's done, I always rename the numbers in sequence so that they don't know something hasn't been taken. Like if you leave the numbers as they are and then one might be 510 and then the next number is 650, the client thinks, what happened to all that 100 photos that were in between there? So my main thing I'm saying to you here is rename them so they won't know. And that's the thing that's there. You could say, well, that's what it was, you know, and there's no argument there, because if you leave it as a blank number, though, that's where it becomes a problem, because they can see that you've had so many images that are left out. So I always rename them the bride name and then the number in sequence when I'm finished, so that they would not have a clue about what I've deleted or not.
Yeah, that actually happened to me early in my when I first started. Is I deleted some because they were completely, like, sometimes I'll take, if I've got flash set up and there's a group or whatever in front of me, usually while they're like adjusting or whatever, I'm just taking some crap shots just to see if my lighting's right or whatever, and they're not even looking, whatever. Like, I'm not going to give those to the client, so yeah, I'm not going to give them all. But when I first started, I actually, deleted some of those, and a client actually said, "Oh, hey, I was looking at the numbers. Where's all those other ones?" I'm like, "Oh man, look at that." So I just had to say, well, they were just like me testing shots, and they were okay with it. But yeah, it's best to just rename them all. It's not like you're trying to cheat them or nothing. They just aren't going to wonder, like, what did he do with those other ones? Maybe those were better because I didn't like my side profile on the ones he showed me, and I want to see the other ones. There may be better ones. And then they get all anxious about that. And yeah, it's best just to delete the test shots and stuff and things that just didn't work out. So I feel exactly the same as you. Contract says the same that you just laid out. I
noticed Hero too said there, Aaron. He said, what was he said? That, hey, if they pay you and sign off on the unedited pictures, that's on them, laugh out loud. But see, I don't agree with that, Hero, because the thing is that, I mean, that's totally up to you or whoever, how they want to run their business. But for me, my name means everything to me, and it's in my contract. I won't even let them change the images. So it's in there that the images cannot be altered in any way. They cannot be converted to black and white. They can't be put inside love hearts with crosses and arrows coming through them, because the issue is that it's my name that they see out there. Now, if I give them an unedited image and they share that and that looks crap, like what I showed you a minute ago, and they say this was Osler Images Photography, that affects my business reputation. So I will only ever give out edited images, and they know that when they hire me. If they wanted to pay more, I still wouldn't accept it, because to me, my name means everything. And in fact, I limit the file size that I give them to 8 by 12 because I don't want them going out and printing big posters somewhere at this dirt cheap place where they do dirt cheap prints. If they want to get a decent print, a decent size, they have to come back to me. So my images are sized at 8 by 12 at 190 DPI or something like that, so they can print at 8 by 12, but that's it. And that's all listed in my contract as well. For me, it's always about quality, and it's always about referrals. And people, if they see my work out there, I know they're going to say that looks beautiful. If they see a raw image that looks terrible and it's been edited awfully, and, like I said, that's why I do not allow editing done. If they want black and white, all they have to do is ask me, and I'll convert it to black and white for them. But I don't allow them to do anything to them, because they're mine. They're actually my images. Yeah, and in my contract, it gives them the rights to print and to share, but they haven't got the rights to edit them. And that's the way that I work. I know it might be strict, but I'm fussy in what gets out there.
Yeah, it's whatever works for you. And that makes some good points, because I've had images that are printed in a magazine or something that doesn't look that great. But I don't have that in my contract. But that's a good point. Good side of it. Now, when it comes to giving raw, I never give the raw images, because, I mean, are you kidding me? They don't know what a raw image is. All they saw was my portfolio, or Uncle Bob takes some photos and then he does his in camera whatever, or he color grades it or whatever, and then puts it on. So they're always used to seeing non-raw photos. So if you were to send them raw, they go, "Oh my gosh, this is who did we hire here?" So what I did is I shoot raw plus JPEG, and I set my cameras up to give me the best possible picture out of camera. And I did a video on this right here on the Sony A7 III. It's called Sony A7R III and A7 III Stunning Straight Out of Camera Results. You guys can go to my channel and check that out. And why I do that is because I can have all these actually pretty darn good looking photos that are already color graded for the camera. Then I have my raw for all the amazing shots that need like, ooh, that's worth fixing. So I can give I still delete all the crappy ones, of course, but I don't have to go through and edit all my RAW files to look good. All the JPEGs look good. And JPEG, I mean, you're taking your RAW, and if you're blowing out highlights or you need to do whatever, of course, that's the best thing to use. But the majority of the JPEGs are not that spectacular. You know, you might have a couple shots of people dancing around. It's like, would they ever even print that? They can, because it looks beautiful coming out of camera. But so I do a lot of that type of thing too, where I have a lot of the JPEGs in, but I never give them the RAW. I always give them the JPEGs that I don't think are worth fixing because they look spectacular, but the ones that are like hero shots, of course, I develop those in RAW. Now, sometimes do you let them ever choose? You said, I think, you never let them choose photos that they like, that they want processed. You just process the ones for you?
No. What I do is I'll edit every single image, so it gets editing done to it. But then it depends on the package they choose, Aaron, but there's two packages that I offer. One, they choose their 20 favorites, and then I edit them highly, so they get full retouching and everything else. Yeah. The higher package, which is around $6,000, they get 40 images that they can edit. And they get highly edited images. Every image has some editing done, but it's only edited for print. So they still look beautiful, but they're not fully retouched and, have the skin softening done and everything else. But I discuss this with them when they come in to me, and I say to them, look, it's about art for me, and it's also about my style and my credibility. I'm not, and this is probably why I'm booked out so heavily in weddings, but I say to them that I want what you have to be my work. I don't want that to be put out there and shown as you editing the images, because it's all about me, that when someone looks at my wedding images, I want them to know that it's my wedding image that's been looked at there, and I don't want it, like I said, put inside love hearts and converted to some crappy black and white that they've done, or like
selective color.
I think, selective color. There's no way. I mean, in fact, I wouldn't even do it. If they asked me, I would say, no, that's not my style. You've hired me. Even when we have the wedding discussion, it comes up every so often where I'll be talking to the bride, and then she'll say, will you do this shot? Will you do this shot with me? And, show me these different shots. And I'm flexible in a little way to say, yes, I'll try to give you what you want there, or I'll do a few of them. But remember, you hired me for the style that I shoot. And that's the thing. I don't want to go out and get away from my style. And that's the thing that I try and promote and talk to people. I always love to be very honest with the bride and groom at the beginning. And we take notes and everything of what goes on and what's said and things like that. And it's like I said, my contract is very, very extensive. But it's just like I said, it's quality to me, and art means everything to me. Yeah. And I don't want to ever go into weddings or whatever I do as a shoot and burn photographer. I want every image that I produce to be a piece of artwork. And that's why I'm so protective of it, because it is part of me that, is there. And it is a bit standoffish in a way, but I want to protect my art. I mean, would an artist allow you to go and willingly
repaint.
Take a paintbrush and then start going over the art that they've created? No, and it would ruin that image. And I think it's photographers should think a little bit more the same way.
Yeah, I agree with that, because someone sees a photo like, oh, remember that photographer that did his wedding? Did you see the photos on her Facebook? And it's like she color graded and it looked crappy, and then they're not going to call you, So yeah, that's pretty important stuff there, David. Thanks for sharing.
It's your reputation that is there. And like I said, you always want to think that someone could see an image somewhere and then say, wow, I love that image, and I'm going to hire him to do my wedding or my portrait shoot or whatever. If there's an image that someone has shared and they've edited that themselves, and remember, editing is a personal choice, and they may love it, but it might be the most crap-looking edit that's ever been done, and then they say that was Osler Images photography, and it can damage your reputation, and that's what I will not allow to happen, because I've worked hard to get the reputation that I have, and I'm not going to let some editor somewhere destroy that by making something look terrible.
Yeah, I agree. You brought more into it than I ever thought about, so that's a really good point for everybody watching that. Good information right there, David.
I mean, Photomiac said, I'm terrible. Once you pay me for what you can do whatever you want to it. And like I said, everyone is different to what they want to do. That's your choice completely. And I suppose I'm lucky that now I'm established and I can do that sort of thing. I mean, if you're an up-and-coming photographer, it might be a lot harder to sort of say these things. But once you're more established, you can then start to set more boundaries. This is the reason why I'll only do one wedding per weekend, because I don't want to give the second bride that I'm shooting any less than what I did for the first bride. And I used to do 3 weddings per weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
And the Saturday and Sunday, I could not give the same service that I gave to the first wedding, because honestly, at the end of a wedding, I'm almost comatose. I'm exhausted because mentally, particularly if it's a fusion wedding, I'm mentally exhausted. And that's why now I'll say I'm only going to take 1 wedding per weekend because I want to give that bride and groom everything that I'm capable of giving them, you know, and the next day I just don't think you can do that. And I don't want it to be about mass-produced type stuff. Like I said, I want it to be about art.
Yep. Good stuff there, David. Do you want to share our photos real quick, then we hit up the chat real quick? I'll share mine real quick because it's up.
Okay.
So we were just talking about using bare flash. Oh, look, I'm on here. I guess I'll keep my little window here. So here's a shot. We just went down into Old San Juan. And if you're really interested on how I did it, you can go over to, well, you are on my YouTube channel. But here's a video right here. I actually did a review of this light stand that's really nice. And at the end, you can see the behind the scenes video of me doing this photo shoot here. But I'm a run and gun. I'm very minimalistic in most of my productions, not all, but a lot of them. And what we did here is I just used that light stand that I reviewed in that video, and I had it over here on the sidewalk because cars were coming down here. I don't think I had that in the video, but cars kept coming down, and for me to get up off the ground, run over and change it, it was just too much. So I just put it on the sidewalk, which is a little further away. But as you could see here, there is, you know, if you know how to light these and you know how to point the model in the right direction, all that, I mean, one thing really was cool is when I was posting these on, I got so many questions saying, did you use a speed light for this? Or did you use flash? And that was pretty cool that people actually, photographers had to ask if I used it, just to kind of show you that you can use absolute bare flash and it doesn't look flashy if you know how to use it. And that's all I did is I just put one speed light here, pointed over here. I used a trigger to trigger it. And just to bring that home a little more, we got more photos here. Now, this is what me and David was kind of talking about. Here's, you know, just a tighter shot. This was actually, everything was in the same position, but you could see, because my wife is looking at the light, the shadows fall fairly nice. And the cool thing about this, it just looks like it was a very cloudy day, and I was hoping it would be sunny to do some reviews on some ND filters and all that. But you could see, it just looks like nice bright sun out. It looks very vibrant. It has that kind of sharp, fashiony look to it because it's a bare bulb, but yet they're not shadows that are hurting her, especially with the hat is kind of tricky when you're doing this stuff, because if she looked down just a little bit, you would of course have some shadow here. So we made sure we, you know, handled that. And all these shots were basically taken the same way with the flash over there. And that's how we did it. One flash, one light stand. We did this like in 15 minutes. Check out the video if you want to see more of that. And that's my photo, David.
That's good. Beautiful, actually. When you went back there, though, did you say where, I was trying to get mine up, did you show where the flash was pointed against your wife's face and stuff like that? Because I noticed, see, she was angled perfectly compared to where that flash was coming back.
Yeah, the flash, I should do like behind the scene photo of my shoots instead of just video, but you could check out the video. But the flash is like right here, and that flash extends up to 6.5 feet. So I was probably up about all the way it would go. So right about where my cursor is, I would say it was like, in reality, it was probably like right here. And so that flash was pointing straight down. And when I don't know if it matters or not. So it was just like up here, because I wanted to get the angle of the sun because it was cloudy, and it makes, with all these beautiful colors, it's got to look sunny and bright. So that's why I had it up so high. Now, one thing I'll show you here before you go over to yours, David, is, I don't know if this matters. I'll have to do some tests, but you can put the flash, you know, like this on a stand. So it's like, so I was going to say 16 by 9, I don't know, horizontal, I guess, this way. But what I usually do is, because I have like full body type things, I mount the flash like that. And I don't know if that matters. I'll have to take a shot of a blank wall to see if
it does show against the wall. It does show that there's a fraction of difference, but I don't think it makes any difference on the subject.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do it anyways because I've noticed that a long time ago that I just from my memory that it did make an elongated. So, anyways, it doesn't take much more just to mount it like that. So I mount them like that, and that's how I mounted it. So that way she just looks into the light. When I took the first shot, of course, the hat was making a shadow on her. So then I had her lift up the hat just a little bit and then, you know, tilt her face up. And you can use harsh light, and it looks great. If that's not your style, that's not your style. But I made it my style because I like it, and it's quick and small. Okay, David, your turn. You're live.
There we go. It's there. So this is Annalise. I wanted to share this. I know I've shared this, I think, on the photography videography school. A couple of things that I wanted to share here. This was the flash that I just showed you. So this is using that Magnum reflector. So it's not a soft reflector at all being used here. But you'll notice what I wanted to do here was, because she's being shot against this waterfall, I wanted to deliberately get her hands up where you could see separation. And you'll notice where I've put her hand here, and that's why I wanted to show this. And also where her head is pointed is into that other part of that waterfall as well, to give that little bit of lift and separation from Annalise's head and hair, because otherwise it would have been lost. I could have had a backlight, a flash in the water somewhere, I suppose, and coming back and lighting her up from the background. But due to the fact of the way she is here, I've got the separation naturally occurring through this. And I just adore this shot. I love the way she's posed up. The pose is gorgeous. This was shot, I think it was with the Tamron 17-28. And it also is the A7 III with that Profoto B10 with that really punchy flash that I said I love so much. And the thing I love about that flash is, and this is what I'm saying, I'm really enjoying using that at the moment now, is notice all the detail in her dress. You can see all the shadows and everything appearing from her dress. You know, and I just love that look. I really do. And I think it's one of the favourite images I've taken for, you know, ages, and I really just love the way she's got that pose in the waterfall. Her fingers are very loose, which I love, and long. The pose is lovely, but I love that detail that bare flash is giving me. Yeah, so there it is.
I love it.
That's it. And the video's up anyway if you wanted to see how that was shot. So I've put a video about that up so you can see how that's done if you wanted to. Weird how it resized that box, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah, when you did your switch thing, something made it smaller. But yeah, that is a cool shot. And you know, when I looked at the photo when you were talking before we brought it up, like earlier when I was trying to figure all this out, I was like, oh, look, it just happened that her head was behind the wall. But you actually meant to do that, which is really cool, which also brings us to the fact of using hard light. When I usually use flash, sometimes I'll carry two, mostly one, but sometimes I'll make a decision if I need to bring them out from the background by, you know, backlighting them, because sometimes I've seen a few photos where the front looks really nice, but they'll have black hair and there's a black background and it just looks like they're bald because you can't see nothing. So, you know, sometimes that's a good reason to bring two, or at least it's a decision to make, you know, if you can, because, or like you said, if I'm using one, just be mindful of your background. That's my main point. If you have one, be mindful of the background, because if you, it bugs me if I get home and I see a shot that was good and I forgot about the background, or at the time it looked great and it wasn't. So this was really perfect that you used the white background or the water to do the separation stuff. So very, very cool. Was this the same day you did the film? Filming?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we did one set, which was the film. So we did that first, and then I did the stills after that. So I got her to do the same thing afterwards, just so I could get the still images. So the shoot was actually for her dancing. So it was stills. It was a still shoot. But because I got those SLR Magic lenses, I wanted to do a review of those, and I thought, wow, perfect time to do it. So it was a paid shoot, but I offered her, obviously, that she could get the video as just a free bonus, really, which was fantastic. And she loved that. And the mother is absolutely blown away. Yeah, so she's blown away by those images that she's now selecting which one she wants to be fully edited. So
Yep, I love it, David. And also, you're still sharing your screen to our Skype. I don't know if that matters
Oh,
at
let me
this point,
go.
but maybe that'll
Yeah,
make your thing bigger.
that might be.
We're going to be leaving here soon, but I wanted to point out that in October 26th, I'll be in New York for Photo Plus.
Oh, cool.
I've been there before. The Northrips.
Oh, that
usually
was it, Aaron. It's come
yeah,
back.
see, it's bigger now. The Northrips usually go down there for Photo Plus because they don't live too far from it. So if you want to go down there, we'll be hanging out down there. Let me know. Give me a direct message if you're going to be there so I can look for you. Otherwise, I'm going to be walking around just checking things out. Me and my wife will be there doing that. And I'd love to see you guys, take some photos together. And that is on October 26th at the Javits Center in New York City. And that's like about a month or so away from now. So if you're coming, DM me. Anything else, David?
Michael's just saying I'm in a tube echo. Who knows? I think it's a Skype thing. It just keeps playing up. It's reverb and then not reverb. Who knows?
Yeah, it's Skype for sure.
I love Photomic. He said his reputation's up for sale, basically, you know, to the highest bidder.
What's that mean?
Well, it means he'll do anything as long as he gets paid. I love it.
Ah, okay. So just give me the money and you can take your product and do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can do whatever you like.
That's funny.
Yeah. So let's just quickly. Let me just put down here. I didn't put the show our photo time album. Q&A is.
Langston says, does cars actually fit down that street? A lot of the streets in Puerto Rico in general are quite small, but specifically in Old San Juan, they're just like, one-way streets. And if you have like a bigger truck and you've got those big mirrors that stick out, you literally have to close those because you could potentially, if you just swerve just a little bit, hit someone on the sidewalk because they are very narrow. Remember, they built that a long time ago when cars weren't around. It was just horses, so it's very, very small. But that's what's the amazing thing about it is it's very cozy down there, and you've got the cobblestone or whatever you call those types of rock streets. So, very small but gorgeous. Anything you see in here, David?
Well, Carl said your lighting was perfectly balanced in those images. It was beautiful, and the color was superb.
Yeah, I love the colors down there. Not all the streets, but a lot of streets are like that. Just pick which one you want and go down there and start shooting.
Hero said, nice, got to see that video. Yeah, check it out. There's two videos that you can look at. They're linked in the same video. There's one where I show how I shot it. So I talk about the gear that I used, the tripods I used, the sliders, the gimbals.
Oh, yeah, beautiful video.
Everything else, yeah. So that I show how the whole thing was done. And then you can also check out the finished, finalised video as well. So there's two videos that sort of link with that. I'm interested too, just on the chat, it's going to be interesting to see that new Pro Photo light's meant to be released today. I noticed that I got an update on my phone to say that it was coming, and it's called the Pro Photo C1. I believe that it's going to be an off-camera flash for the iPhone.
Oh, I was just thinking about that, actually. Talking to someone.
It makes sense to me, Aaron, because the B10 you can already use as a flash for the iPhone. It will flash. So when you take a shot, it actually flashes. So it's amazing.
How does it do that? Just Bluetooth?
Yes, Bluetooth, yeah. Yeah. So it does work already with the B10. I mean, not fantastically, but it does work. So I would think that they've probably improved on that factor. But from what I believe, it's going to be around about $400 or something. It's not going to be cheap.
Wow.
So I don't know, but stay tuned. I'll probably get a review unit from ProPhoto that I can test it and try it, but it's probably not something that I'm really going to think about buying because I don't know if I'd want to be doing flash photography work from my iPhone. I could do that now from the B10 and I'll never use it. So,
but you can imagine with the new, what is it, like 53 millimeters or whatever it comes out to being, and then it might even have portrait mode also, and then you have a flash. Yes. Oh man, I'm telling you. When I was doing, I'm going to make a video. I was just a couple days ago. I was doing a runway shoot using prime lenses for the first time. I can't shut that dinging off if you guys hear that. And I was doing the runway shoot, and there was someone sitting next to me, and I was talking to them, and they were showing me the new Pixel or whatever phone that is. Android. I don't know what the newest one is, but this is the newest one. And he showed me the portrait mode. iPhones had it too, but I've never really looked at it. And you just couldn't tell. There was like just the blur of the portrait mode, the fake blur. It just looked amazing. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference at all. So if you got that 53-ish millimeters on the new iPhone with that blur, whatever they call it, and using flash, man, you're going to be, and you're like just starting into photography, man, that might be all you need to do amazing photos, like amazing photos.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and I'll leave my judgment until I see it. But I mean, knowing Pro Photo, it's probably going to be a pretty good product.
Yeah, kind of expensive.
It's going to be, it's an expensive product though, so you'd have to justify the expense, that's for sure. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So that's it. Stay tuned for the obviously Friday's show coming up. That's as long as my iPhone. Well, I might even do it, and hopefully the delivery will come while I'm doing the show. Also, well, I've also got that funeral of my son's best mate that I've got to go to on Friday as well. So if things change around there, I may not get on live, but hopefully I think it starts at 11, so I may still get on live before then, but we'll just have to see what happens on the day. Apart from that, what have you got coming up, Aaron?
Just some more videos. I want to do that runway shoot that I did with just using a prime lens. Never used a prime lens for a runway. I'm going to tell you guys how that worked out with the Sony a7R III because of that 42 megapixels and the sharpness of the 55 Zeiss. So I'll be making a video about that. Other than that, if you guys want to check out David Osler's YouTube channel, head on over there after this one, after subscribing, giving me a thumbs up, head over there, subscribe to his channel because next week it's going to be on his channel, and we're going to try to do that Instagram thing from my side while he's doing his channel, so maybe we won't get the echo and all that stuff, but we'll give it a try. But that's it, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. Leave some comments.
Oh, just before we go,
yeah,
Aaron,
go ahead.
how long are you going to have a live meetup at Photo Plus? Or
I don't know. I'm not sure if I don't know how many people go there. It's been years since I went to that, so I don't know how popular that thing is. So, like I said, just DM me if you're in the New York area on the 26th of October, and if I see several people are going, then yeah, I'll do a meetup. And if you're not going into the event, you have to actually go and register. Like right now, you don't have to pay anything. You register and they give you a badge and all that. You have to go there and pick up your badge. So do that pretty soon if you want to go. If you don't go into the event, let me know anyways if you're in the New York area, and afterwards we can go just cruise around, talk, have a photo shoot, something like that. So
no worries. Don't forget to play the end credits.
I know. I've got my mouse on the button. So,
all right, everyone. Thanks so much. Catch you in the next show.
Leave some comments in the description below if you weren't here to see this video. Okay. Bye, guys.
I would say we were good together.